in the mix. Her PB is 4:36. But other than that, we've got 6 very high-quality 1,500-metre runners here performing in front of an absolutely packed crowd. And listen to this reception. The Olympic silver medalist and World Championship bronze medalist is hugely popular in Great Britain. Such a modest, mild-mannered, very talented woman. Laura Muir will look to go well. Mkwabang Sibela, she's only 18. She's got that PB of 4:36. Here more for the experience. Well, Melissa Courtney-Bryant isn't here for experience. She wants a medal. Maybe she can improve on her Commonwealth bronze from the Gold Coast. Second in the British National Champs. She should make smooth passage through to the final. Abby Caldwell, second in the Oceanian Championships. 4:04, that PB came in California earlier this year. Kiara Megan, World Junior Silver, 12 years ago. She made the semis in Rio, but was knocked out in the heats last year in Tokyo. Very experienced Northern Irish woman. Then to the second of our Australians, Lyndon Hall. She won the Stockholm Diamond League. Oh, she was looking there. Perhaps she was expecting another athlete to be standing beside her, but she is supposed to be there. Yeah, won Stockholm, just off the podium on the Gold Coast. She's much better than she was 4 years ago. And Edna Jevitok, a former World Youth bronze medalist, 5th in the World Juniors. Semis in Tokyo, but was knocked out in the heats in Eugene and was really, really disappointed with that. So look for the Kenyan to try and bounce back. 7 in this one, 5 of them, as you can see, coming back for the final, plus 2 non-automatic qualifiers from the 2 semi-finals. Well, qualification here, Tim Hutchings, should, for the quality athletes here, be relatively straightforward. Sibela of Lesotho has got by far the slowest time, so I wonder whether this will be quite a cagey affair.
Well, yes, qualification should be straightforward, Rob. I mean, 7 in this heat, 8 in the next. That many people are remarking this could have been a straight final, and it is disappointing that the Commonwealth couldn't produce bigger numbers. It really is. This has been a constant theme throughout much of the week. But yes, for athletes of the calibre of Laura Muir, and in particular Lyndon Hall, the only other athlete here, the Australian, who's broken 4 minutes as a personal best, this should be straightforward. I thought Lyndon Hall might take it out. At the moment, she's right at the back in that Australian kit. Of course, Melissa Courtney-Bryant coming back from a massive injury problem. She missed all of last year with a very severe foot injury, but she has battled her way back to being in very good form. 4:04 so far this year. And as you said, bronze medalist 4 years back on the Gold Coast. There she is in that red top of Wales and black shorts. And I'd expect Mel Courtney to qualify here fairly comfortably. But at the moment, that is slow. 72.82 for the first 400.
Yes, I mean, if they carried on at that sort of pace, you'd be looking at about maybe a 4:20-ish. So that's why Sibela of Lesotho, the 18-year-old, is able to live with this pace. She didn't make it through the heats of the 800 metres. Laura Muir not interested in getting involved with any pace-making duties. She's tucked in on the inside, and I thought she looked pin sharp in the 800. You know, she's run a 1:57 in a mixed 800 in Britain, and she was second in one of the Diamond League 800s with a 1:58. So Laura's flat speed and her endurance is looking really good at the moment. The Scot, though, boxed in just behind Megan of Northern Ireland, who now has Hall up on her shoulder for company.
Kieran McGeehan of Northern Ireland there at the front. Of course, you will be more familiar seeing her in Irish colours. There is this anomaly whereby athletes who race for Ireland in major global championships like the Olympics and World Championships, some of them can also run for Northern Ireland if they have Northern Irish roots, and that's who she's representing here. But she is a very strong athlete, is McGeehan, coached by Steve Vernon, based in Manchester for much of the year. 10th in the World Championships back in 2019. Her lifetime best is a few fractions of a second outside 4 minutes. She's not going to break 4 minutes here because this is desperately slow, but she is a fierce racer on her day and a sub-2-minute 800-metre runner.
Yeah, and I think she was the first Irish woman to go sub-2 for the 8. So she's on the shoulder here of the Australian. And in fact, she had to give Hall a little nudge in the back. They were getting so boxed and tight and now they begin to spread out. They had a 72-second lap, then a 71-second lap. We're looking at 6, and they only need to lose one of these athletes. Hall leads with McGeehan on her shoulder. Laura Muir is at the back of this group at the moment, so she'll need to start paying some attention just to make sure she finishes in the top 5.
Well, I think Laura Muir here is just wanting to test herself over the last 300. There she is, right at the back in the blue of Scotland. Strange tactics from Muir. I hope everything's okay. That lap a 63 after, as you said, Rob, a 72 and a 71, then a 63. So it has livened up. But Muir right at the back. She certainly needs to get in the top 5 because this has been very slow, and if the first and second heat is even remotely sensible pace, then the fast non-automatic qualifiers will come from that one.
Let's pay close attention then round this last 125. McGeehan leading, Caldwell coming through into second place. Muir's now on the outside. Whoever finishes 6th here is almost certain to not make it because this has been so slow. McGeehan, Caldwell, yeah, and it looks as though Laura Muir's in a roundabout 4th. Lyndon Hall's okay, and it's going to be Melissa Courtney-Bryant out of that 6 who may well miss out, and she's giving herself a little talking to and shaking her head. Huge disappointment there for the Welshwoman. The crowd are going wild, by the way, because Sabela of Lesotho is now just coming up towards the line, so they're making sure they cheer everyone. This crowd is really playing their part in creating a wonderful backdrop to these 22nd Commonwealth Games. The athlete from Lesotho gets a huge reception as she comes across the line. Well, I guess the story there, Tim, we were beginning to get a little bit concerned from Laura Muir's aspirations, but she was just biding her time. The disappointment is with the bronze medalist from the Gold Coast, Melissa Courtney-Bryant, who may well surely miss out because it was just so slow.
Yes, I got Laura Muir's final lap at 61.5. She never really changed gears up to the top couple of gears she's got. She just did enough to get into the top 5. I'm quite shocked that Mel Courtney-Bryant didn't make it through. At least she hasn't automatically. We'll have to see how the second heat goes. She obviously looks a little bit shocked. She is more of a 5,000-metre runner than she's a 1,500-metre runner, even though her lifetime best was 4:01. She's very strong, and I think she got her tactics wrong here. Unless she is struggling perhaps with injury problems or illness, she should have been nearer the front as they went through the bell and in a position where they had to come past her. She is not renowned for a massively fast kick there in that red Welsh vest. And as Muir came past her here, she just didn't have the gears. And I don't think it was lightning quick through the last 150. So very frustrating because that winning time, 4:13, is very, very slow.
Good work by the 2 Australians. What a conveyor belt the Australians are putting together, Tim. When you bring into the equation the likes of Georgie Griffiths as well, and we've got Jessica Hull of Australia going in the second of the semi-finals, they've really got a great group of female middle distance runners, and they've brought all their big guns here to Birmingham to try and get in the shake-up for the medals come the final. McGeehan just having a little look at the clock as she comes across the line. Laura Muir left of picture, very, very cool. The disappointment, as we mentioned, Melissa Courtney-Bryant, surely at 4:14, that will not be quick enough to go through as a non-automatic qualifier. McGeehan, Caldwell, Jebitop, Hall and Muir safely through. Courtney-Bryant has an anxious wait.
Let's see what pace our Heat 2 athletes will go out in. Here's the start list then, a reminder. The first 5 will be guaranteed a place in the final. And 8 athletes due to contest those 5 automatic spots. The wave going around Alexander Stadium, you can see it behind Lucia Stafford there of Canada. Thumbs up from her, she'll start on the outside line, the 23-year-old, 4:05 this year. Winnie Nanyondo of Uganda, 8th at the World Championships recently, just missed a medal in this event 4 years ago on the Gold Coast. Winnie Chebet of Kenya, the fastest in the field on personal best, but 5 seconds off that in this 2022 season. Experience, though, of course, in her 3rd Commonwealth Games. Artigala, 4:09.12 at her best. The Sri Lankan, the national champion, and their national record holder. Owitsonde from Rwanda, 16 years old, lining up here in position number 4. Gemma Reekie of Scotland, well, she'll get a huge reception. Raced already over the 800 metres, 4th at the Tokyo Olympics. The 800-metre distance, the Scot is back for more. Jessica Hull, 7th at the World Championships in Oregon, under 4 minutes this year. The fastest in this heat on season's best performances. Then Katie Snowdon of England. And the semi-finals of the World Championships, the semi-finals of the Olympics last year. The English athlete lines up on the inside line for heat number 2. They're the current qualifiers by time. And that slow heat, 72-second first lap, 2:23 at 800 metres. These athletes, with any racing sense, will know exactly what they have to do to get into this women's 1500-metre final. And Gemma Reekie of Scotland, Rob Walker, will be one of the athletes in this heat, looking to do something after her 800-metre exploits.
Yes, she was so disappointed to not make the final. I think that bout of glandular fever has set her back perhaps even more than she and her coach had anticipated. And Laura Muir came through really well in the heat, so she will be in the 800 final as well as the 1500 final. So it would be great for Gemma if she is able to get through to the 1500 final. And look, there are 8 in this, Catherine. 7 could go through, and the only one of these athletes who can't run a 4:14, which is Melissa Courtney-Bryant's time for the first of the semi-finals, is the 16-year-old from Rwanda. So if she ends up finishing last, as long as they keep this pace quicker than 4:14, then 7 of the 8 will make it through to the final.
Well, very shortly they're going to go through the first lap time. Remember, the first lap of the first heat was 72.82 seconds. And Yondo happy to hold the inside line, 69 seconds, so we're already 3 seconds quicker. And the Ugandan, who I mentioned, missed a medal in this event in 2018. She finished 10th in this 1500 metres after missing a medal in the 800 metres. And Yondo on the inside, Hull on her shoulder. Snowdon now of England in a very good position. 11th in this event in 2018 in the familiar England colours. So all nicely bunched as they go round the top bend here in the sunshine. The crowds applauding every single step, Rob, of the athletes in this women's second heat of the 1500 metres.
Well, yet again, we've got beautiful sunshine, and yet again, we've got almost a packed house. I mean, yeah, OK, you can see a few little pockets of empty seats, but it's a brilliant 30,000 plus attendance for a morning session. Remember, if you're familiar with athletics, you'll be well aware you don't, even when a world champs goes somewhere like Germany, you know, where they absolutely love their athletics, you very rarely get a full crowd for a morning session. The attendance has been absolutely superb. So, the Ugandan leading, better known as an 800-metre runner. She was only just off the podium in the 8. I know she was a little way off the shake-up come the 1500 metres. So, they've still got a little bit of time to play with, because the first semi, 72 on the first lap, 71 on the second. So they're still at the moment about 3 seconds up. So if they just keep this pace honest, then everybody, other than the 16-year-old from Rwanda, can make it through to the final. They've surely got to be aware of that.
Yeah, they were 3 seconds up on the first heat time at 800. 2 seconds up at the 800-metre point, going through in 2 minutes 21. And still that tight pack. You can throw a sporting blanket over the athletes in this second heat. A reminder, just the 5 to automatically go through. But as Rob said, we know that they're on pace. This is good. All of them looking up at the big screen. Snowdon in the mix. Hull there, the Australian, in good form. You see Chebet making a move as the bell goes for the final lap.
Gemma Reekie just finding herself towards the back of that big group of 8. Remember, they could get 7 through, but in the second of the semi-finals, they really did pour it on the last lap because they've gone so slowly on the first 2. So they can't afford to dawdle here. 68.3 on that lap. Snowdon holding the inside line. Jess Hull looks really, really comfortable there. Now, Nyondo's got herself boxed, and Chebet coming up on the outside, which is the sensible thing to do. Reekie's got problems here. She's boxed on the inside.
200 metres to go. Snowdon, Hull, Chebet, the blue vest of Scotland's Gemma Reekie. She's going to have to negotiate traffic here. She's going to have to look for a gap. Just the top 5 guaranteed a place in the final. Down the home straight, Artigala, the Sri Lankan on the outside, having a little bit of argy-bargy with the Canadian. Just the first 5. The time looks pretty good, though. Gemma Reekie battling back. And a little stretch out from Nanyonda, the Ugandan. We're at 4:16.05. We'll await for the confirmation of the automatic 5 that have gone through.
Well, there were 6 who crossed the line in a big blanket there, and they will all be okay because there are 2 non-automatic spots. It was outside the time that Courtney Bryant posted in the first of the semi-finals. So all 6 who came across the line together will make it, and so will Melissa Courtney Bryant, despite running 4:14 in the first of the semi-finals. We will see the Welshwoman in the final.
Yep, exactly went to plan in terms of that. 4:16.04 for Nanyondo. Snowden just 5/100ths of a second behind. And there's lots of big cues coming up on our system. There's a nice smile there. Very impressive, that, from Jessica Hull, the Australian. Studied at the University of Oregon, lives and trains in Portland, Oregon. So you can imagine she had a wonderful reception when she ran to that 7th place at the World Championships in Eugene, Oregon. This is where they're all bunched, though, Rob, wasn't it? With 200 meters to go, battling for one of the automatic positions that turned out nice for them in this second heat.
It did, and you know, I was waiting for the official confirmation. It's Reekie who has taken the non-automatic spot here. I don't know, it was so tightly bunched. I wonder whether she specifically knew that she wasn't in 5th. Watch the Scot just behind Katie Snowden there, who ran a really sensible race. Chebet was up on the outside, she was okay. Nanyondo was having a little look round, possibly unaware that Gemma Reekie was on her inside. The Canadian Lucy Stafford coming through. Really good to see her in the final, because she just missed out on a place in the final last year in Tokyo. Reekie here, just a fraction of a second outside the top 5, but with her 4:16.23, she takes the second of the non-automatic spots behind Melissa Courtney Bryant.
And there's a small cue for Reekie with her 4:16.23. 4:14.46 of Courtney Bryant of Wales will get her into the final. So 2 heats done. And all those athletes that are going to be listed shortly are going to come through to that final. You can see Gemma Reekie, Rob, her eyes were darting around everywhere. She was looking at the screens, trying to get herself into the position. There's a little knock there that I mentioned for Artigala with the Canadian as well, Stafford. That put her off her stride as the Canadian then was powering through, wasn't she, trying to get into one of those positions out in lane number 3.
I'll tell you what, Nanyondo cracks me up. She's such a... Look how she finds a gap here. Snowden's checking. I don't know how Nanyondo... I mean, it's okay. She hasn't completely nudged Snowden out the way, but Nanyondo is so adept at finding a way through crowded traffic in a pack. The Ugandan did it to great effect there. Reekie was having a little anxious look there, perhaps, at the clock, but she is into the final. But there's no doubt she's world-class. She was only just off the podium in Tokyo in the 800 meters, and her season has been heavily disrupted by that glandular fever, but she's in the final. So, McGeehan, Caldwell, Chebitok, Laura Muir arguably looking like she's the favourite, because she, remember, is through to the 800 final as well, so her speed is looking as good as her endurance. Gemma Reekie makes it through as a non-automatic qualifier, and so too does Melissa Courtney Bryant of Wales. Great final to come. Beautiful sunshine as we turn our attention for the first time